The podcast was Will's idea. The bus was my idea. And then Barstool slid into the DMs.
Who from Barstool slid into the DMs?
I think it was Gaz. It was the main page. They DM Bussin's page. Our producer at the time shot me the screenshot, and he was like, "Hey, Barstool wants to get on the phone." And they were just like, "Hey, just want to have a conversation. Didn't know if there'd be any interest there." So we got on the phone with Barstool, and they essentially talked about how they loved our tone, the chemistry. If we were to be partners, we just want to pour gasoline on your guys' fire. And so to see how serious they were about it, after we got off the phone, we followed up with like, hey, these dates, because Taylor was in training camp at the time. It's like these couple dates, there were like 2 days where Taylor had an off day. If you could fly in to Nashville and, we can have a conversation about it. They responded within 5 minutes of that email. I was like, we'll come on this date. And the CEO, Erica, and Gaz flew into Nashville. We had a good meal at True Foods. And we didn't talk structure, we didn't talk terms, any of that stuff. We basically just kind of had the same conversation about what we're looking to do, what we're interested in, how are we going to balance it with football. And they essentially just wanted to maintain contact throughout the season, because we were like, hey, we have about 15, 16 episodes already backlogged going into the season. We're just going to let those wear out, because we weren't doing the podcast in the season at the time. And after the year was over, there was some negotiating going on a couple months prior to that, but we ended up signing in February of 2020 at the Super Bowl.
The signing with Barstool was funny because Will calls. He's like, hey, they're pushing back on, I think it was IP or something like that.
It wasn't IP. It was, we were talking about merchandise.
Merchandise for the boys.
For the boys, because we had tried, I think, getting that trademarked or something.
Yeah.
When we were doing we started off 5-0, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're trying to get shirts made and everything else, but I want to say Barstool either grabbed it right around that time, that same week or a little bit before, and so we couldn't get it. So one of our things was like, if we're going to make merchandise and stuff, like, who do we get to have our merchandise like when the deal is over? It was something small like that. Something
small. And so Will calls me, and I'm like, let's go to Barstool tomorrow. And I was like, all right. I mean, we don't got to do that. 2 days later, we fly to New York with Will, and then Will's suit, Ken.
Yeah.
And we go in for this negotiation, and we sit down. Was it Gaz? Gaz was there, or he was not there?
Dave and Erica.
Gaz, Erica, and then Dave kind of slumps in there, shoulders forward. Hey, what's going on? Gives me a limp dick handshake. And we kind of were like, this is what we want. We want for the boys. We want to own our IP. We want this. And Dave just goes, all right.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah, I don't see an issue with that.
And then
kind of looks at
all right.
Looks at Erica, and she's like, yeah. All right, man. I guess we're good then. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then literally that was it. Like, I think like a week later, we signed at the Super Bowl in Miami.
Yeah. Was it a 2-year deal? I think it was a 2-year deal.
2-year deal.
We extended for 3 more football seasons.
Yeah. We turned down the MG because we wanted to bet on ourselves.
Yeah. Which could have been a dumb move.
Which actually was a dumb move.
Yeah.
Knowing now, if you have an MG in place, they have to work for you a little bit.
Yeah.
To get you going.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. The first, the beginning part, you kind of do the car wash and then go on different podcasts and shows. And then they say gasoline on the fire, because that's what Barstool is. They own the internet. And I remember being in Arizona training, and I call Will and be like, they're not really putting gasoline in the fire. I remember the first couple months was like, what if we made a mistake?
But also COVID hit.
Yeah, but I don't look at everything.
That was like,
I'm looking at this.
Yeah, because I want to say there were Coors and Chevy was lined up.
Yeah.
And then those fall through. And it was basically a cluster fucking grind for everybody out there trying to, make everything work.
And then a couple months later, man, it started to really take off in a big way. It was awesome. Barstool's been a huge help.